COVID for me created a very strong time of reflection. It was a time that God gave me an opportunity to reevaluate what was really important to me and what I really had to let go. My husband and I bought a house and we started to reno the house. We tore down walls, we painted, we reconstructed, we got rid of garbage, and that was kind of like what has happened to me in the last couple of years. I had a car accident 2 years ago that caused me to have a major concussion. And 2 months later, I went into the hospital in St. John for open heart surgery to replace a valve. God was giving me a new heart. I had been a teacher, and that was a very, very valuable time for me teaching. But I no longer could go back to teaching. And I took 3 months to recover from the open heart surgery. So in that time of 5 or 6 months, I had nothing to do but reflect on my life and what was I going to do next. So I spent a lot of time in the Word, I spent a lot of time praying, I spent a lot of time being quiet. And at the end of that time, we went out west for 3 months to spend time with old friends in Vernon, British Columbia. And that was a really refreshing time of really determining what I really wanted to do in life. At 72 years old, that was a big thing for me because I now was retired. So we came back to PEI and we found a house on Darnley Basin, and in faith we purchased it. We hadn't sold our other house, so it was a financial risk, and we ended up a week or two later actually selling our house and then moving in the fall to Darnley. A dream that I've always had. I've always wanted to come to Summerside Community Church. It was just too far away to get involved all the time. And so now, here we were, 20 minutes away, living on the water and tearing a house apart. Great. I was a little stressed, I have to say. Anyway, we decided that in the wintertime, my husband and I loved to ski, and so we booked a time to go skiing and went to northern New Brunswick with some friends in March. I was so looking forward to that. And when we got there, they closed the ski hills because of COVID. And we headed home a week later, and we had to isolate for another 2 weeks. So in that time, it was like all my dreams of getting connected with people, all my dreams of doing different things, gone. And so God again put us in a quiet place, tearing down walls, painting again, cleaning up messes, and it reminded me of the messes that had been in my life and how God cleaned them up for me. So I pressed through that, stressed, a little frustrated, with the help of some wonderful friends who kept in touch. And at that time, I took before that I'd taken the emotional spiritual course here at the church. And that made me begin to realize that, maybe God wanted us to get back into doing some ministry, because we had always been doing ministry here in the island. And I thought, well, okay, what's that going to look like, God? But the neat thing about that course was that it caused me to take a Sabbath rest, which I desperately needed. And that Sabbath rest was something that I knew about, but I really didn't get and do it at all. And also to take time to really reflect on God's purposes and plans for my life in the next part of my life. I had taken a lot of teaching 5 or 6 years ago with contemplative prayer, and had read the book Dark Night of the Soul and gone through all that. And I knew this was a time of the dark night of the soul for me. I was really searching as to how I was going to relate to people and God in the future. So we became busy again, trying to connect with people. And then, of course, we got involved with doing a house church. And that was a blessing, because now people could come to our house. Jack and I have always been hospitable. We love having people in our home. And I'm just so thankful for Tracy and Andrew and all the crew that put on the Zoom broadcast of the church. It kept us centered. and it kept us focused on people, connecting with the community again. Well, when I began to think about this, when Tracy had asked if I would speak today, I began to think, God has to tear things down in us. He has to bring us back sometimes to the very bare bones, as we did in our house. He has to show us what things were built in our lives that were wrong. Ways of thinking, we call it stinky thinking. And I began to have a new compassion for people who had fear and anxiety. I would go to the store and I'd see people and sense their fear and their anxiety as I would meet them in the aisles. So I began to pray quietly for them and thinking, God, do I have any fear and anxiety about this COVID? I didn't, because I knew that God had taken care of me through the last 2 years, through my car accident, through my open heart surgery, and that He was giving me another new outlook in life. So I now spend my time each day in the Word, listening to different broadcasts, listening to Christian music, and talking with friends who have stood by us in all of this time. I have learned to take time to pause, and that's what COVID has taught me. It's time to take a pause in your life and think about what is really, really important. Who is really, really important in your life? What is really, really important in your life? There's a lot of things that I used to think were important are no longer important. I know there are better days ahead, and as we venture in with God, that these new ways that He's teaching us, ways of connecting with others, ways of learning, and the new pathways He's chosen for us is going to be an exciting journey. And I just thank you for this opportunity today to share these thoughts with you.